Willie D Live.
It's Willie D, y'all, back with another episode of information and instructions to help you navigate through this wild, crazy, beautiful world. In the studio, Katt Williams. What's up,
Thank
King?
you. How are you, sir?
Oh, man, one more hop, I'll be on top. How
Prepare
about you?
for your hop. Doing
Yeah.
great. Doing great.
Yeah, you're doing great, man. Cleveland, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio. Cincinnati, Ohio.
But when you, my bad. You were born in Cincinnati.
Yep, I was
and
born
then
in
you were
Cincinnati.
raised in Dayton.
And raised in Dayton, correct.
Man, you know, we had a show in Dayton once, and it almost like provoked a full blown riot. You know, in Dayton, they had these cops with these big old 10-gallon hats.
They did.
Big old white cornbread fed dudes, and they were telling us, y'all gonna either pay for all of this equipment that y'all destroyed on the stage. We destroyed, allegedly, equipment, band equipment that belonged to After 7 and Troop.
Oh, my.
We were on the same
Got
ticket
it. Yeah.
as After 7 and Troop. We
Yeah.
destroyed their equipment,
Allegedly.
and they told us, y'all gonna pay for this stuff or y'all going to jail. And so we basically just did the show for free because we gave all that money back. But Dayton that's will forever be like embedded in my memory, Dayton, Ohio, for that reason. But
I'm sorry
what
that you
do
had a
remember?
bad memory.
But what are some good memories that you have from Dayton?
Part of what you remember is a part of Dayton. So Dayton was one of the rare cities in America that was legitimately half black and half white. So there was power on both ends. I came from a very powerful family in Dayton just because of our sheer numbers. So there were 13 on my father's side and 7 on my mother's side. So I had like 100 first cousins in one city. Like, we just had a large family, and it was a great place for black people, and it was a great place for white people. It's just that you really couldn't be legitimately racist because your neighbors were of another color, if that makes sense. So,
What's the power dynamic? Was it mostly white people running it or black people?
well, that's the dynamic of America at that particular time. One of my uncles was the chief of police. Another was the head pastor in town, and had some cocaine dealing uncles as well. So we were really rooted in the city, but it was a city of money. So we had Cooper Tires, we had Dayton Tires, we had IBM, we had NCR, we had Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, we had University of Dayton. These are all places where you can make 6 figures even at that time. So it was a lot of money there. As far as on the radio, we would hear every hour 5 or 6 artists that were from where we were from. So we thought that was a part of it. We hearing the Ohio Players, and Roger Troutman in Zapp's studio is our bus stop when we're 7 years old. Like, so I met Prince while I was in Dayton when I'm 12. Like, it was a very vibrant community for black people.
So you saw a lot of the street stuff. How did you end up? First of all, did you end up doing any of the street stuff, participating in any of that street activity? You mentioned your uncles selling drugs and all of that.
Well, I leave Dayton, Ohio right before I'm 13. So I'm still at a young age. I'm just having heightened experiences because of my childhood and my background. So, I've always had money, but I don't come from money. So I was able to cut grass in the summer, and I was able to shovel snow in the winter. That's what I was allowed to do. So, But consequently, even as a kid, I'm making like $6,000-7,000 a year, and this is
At 12 years old?
before that, at 10. At 10, just because that's what I was allowed to do, and I'm a hustler by nature. Like if I get a hold of a lick, I want to see how many times it flips, not if it flips. You know what I mean? So once I'm gone from there, I'm trying my hand at other things, door to door, and I had already made $1 million before I was 18, doing door to door across the country. So I had already tested out what were the positive things about me, and how I could use that to my advantage economically from an
Is,
early age.
is it true that you emancipated yourself from your parents at 13? Because I read that somewhere. I
Well,
think it was Wikipedia said something like that.
I wouldn't shame the family. What I would say is that it can't be called run away because I didn't run away. I left, but I don't tell that part of the story just because there's a zero chance that if a young person listens to me and follows my example on that they'll be okay. But I knew I would be, but I was a little off. Like I knew Jesus left home at 13, so I didn't feel like I was out of pocket in any way.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that at 13 years old you was cognizant of the story of Jesus leaving home at 13 years old?
I had been accepted to college before I was 12, so I was already a little bit more advanced than your average child. I had probably read 10,000 books at that period in my life. So I was blessed in that way. But as you know, you can't really just live on that. So God navigated where I was able to see the underworld, if you will. So I go from my parents' house in Ohio to Miami, Florida by myself. I don't know nobody. And that's where the story begins. But
In your formidable years, who is that person? Was there a single individual who inspired you, or some guy or a person that you looked up to and you said, I like the way that they move and I want to model myself after that person?
yeah, this is going to be a weird answer. Yes, that's one of the things that I was probably the best at. I did it with anybody and everybody. So when I was going to the library, I wasn't reading fiction books. I was reading nonfiction books, and it didn't matter what it was. I know whatever's in this book, I don't know what it is. So I might have read like 1,000 autobiographies, just the life of people that I don't know. And when you do that, you find out that if you were trying to learn something from everybody, you could actually learn something from every single person that you met. And so it's that type of thinking that helped me avoid the pitfalls as I saw them. So the reason I never did drugs when I was an adult is because when I left and went to Miami and I'm living in a park, it's 30 people out there from all different places, and they all are homeless and in a terrible situation just like me. And they telling me that they used to be lawyers and doctors and nurses, and I'm going, well, what happened? And all of them is telling this story where everything in their life was fine, and then they dealt with this drug, and this is where it ended them out. So as a kid, I never saw the fun part of drugs. I never heard about nobody having a good time on drugs, or, oh, you got to take this so you can feel it. I didn't see it from that way. I had already seen what it would do to people, and they're telling me, like, I'm letting people tell me, hey, don't do this. Don't get to Hollywood and start sleeping with white women and doing cocaine because it'll kill you. Oh, yeah, no problem. Got it. So, in a lot of things, I was just stupid enough to get the lessons, but that came from being willing to learn something from everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long were you out on the streets?
Well, it sounds so harsh when you say on the streets. Just understand that I'm in slacks and a shirt and a tie every day, and I'm eating at a 5-star restaurant because I done worked this deal with the restaurant where I come in at 5 in the morning and I come and do the floors and clean up everything the bus people didn't do, knock out the old dishes. I do all of that, but I get to eat there for free. So I come later and have a 5-star lunch as a 12-year-old because I'm already smoking cigarettes, but I got a mustache, so I don't look out of place. And then I go and I do my 8 hours in the library to take the place of what schooling would have been. So 2 hours were spent collecting radios from people's cars at the marina, which funded me to at least have $700 or $800 a week in my pocket. So that was the situation for, I'll say, 12 months.
Was there somebody who came along, a social worker or something like that, and saw you and said, yo, or talked to you? It's like, yo, I can help you out. Or you should do this or that.
No, you're looking at it a different way than I was looking at it. I wasn't in a pitiable situation by any means. I was free. And it was an adventure that I was on. And I had already read all of these books. I know how this goes. I know that a terribly scary adventure is nothing for the warrior. He doesn't need to be in a good position. There is a God, and he's going to see you through. You just have to make sure that you're hitting the marks to qualify for the blessing. So I was never in a situation where someone would think that I needed some assistance.
Where were you sleeping at?
In the park that I told you about,
was-
across the street from the library in Coconut Grove.
Like on the ground, on the bench?
No, they had a mattress out there. I had money, so people would get you stuff.
Why didn't you just take your money and go get a crib?
At 13?
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Never crossed my mind.
Because I really do. I know it's young, but I do know people who are very young. If somebody is young enough to go out on the streets and just say, I'm leaving home,
Yeah.
a lot of times, and if they got money, they're savvy enough to
It's not
get
that I
somebody
have
to
money.
pay them.
I'm making some money. I don't have money. I'm making some money.
Enough to get by.
Well, I'm saying I don't have a long list of needs on the daily. I need to eat well. I need to drink well.
And where are you keeping your money? Like in your pocket?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Anybody ever try to rob you?
No, I did have somebody try to violate me while I was out there. I think because I didn't know really what gay people were, so I wasn't really clear. I knew how gay people acted as I had seen, but I wasn't aware that it had a sexual connotation to it. So as soon as the guy kept talking to me like he liked me, I was really confused because guys don't like guys. And I'm trying to figure out, is there something about your background that makes you talk like a lady while you're talking to me? But yeah, I had that as a situation. But other than that, no, I wasn't frequently tried as a young person.
Yeah. So I'm asking some of these questions that I'm asking because I'm really trying to figure out like how did you develop your psyche? Like you're a very insightful dude.
Right.
Just trying to figure out like where did that start at? Can you pinpoint a specific time and space where you said, you know, yeah, um, I get it. I see what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. Probably like 5 years old.
Hmm.
Um, First and foremost, this is going to sound really, really weird, but I believed at that young age that you could have a relationship with God. And I know that that's kind of old fashioned now. Um, but when I was young, that's what I believed. And so I developed this relationship where we talk 4 or 5 times a day and we talk about everything. And I'm coming to you when things are well and when it's not well. And if I ask for something, I know when you gave me what I asked for because it's the only time. So I understood at a young age that I wasn't like everybody else, that I was in a blessed position, and that I had the ability to be able to make things happen if I could find the instructions and follow them. So um, at 5 years old, that's how I thought. I knew when things were wrong with the Bible. I wasn't worried about authority because God was like the authority. And other than that, I got to tolerate you, but I'm not allowed to bow down. I'm like that as a child. So my parents didn't do anything wrong. They just wanted me to live a life that I wasn't going to live. They wanted me to be this, and I was not free to live a double life. I can't be that and be what I'm trying to be.
What was that they wanted you to be?
Um, a part of their religion.
Hmm.
They were
Was
very
that
devout
Christians?
in religion.
Christian?
Yes,
Did,
a branch of Christianity, yes.
at one point, did you become a Muslim?
At one point, I became several religions because that's the only way you can really find out what's going on in a religion. Religion is not something that you can just study the books about it and now you know about them. I had to be a member of the Fruit of Islam in order to know. Minister Farrakhan calls me his son. I was not regular even in that endeavor, just because whoever the true God is, I don't play about him. And I understand that regardless of what you choose to call him, it's the same entity. And once you study all of the religions, you find out that nobody's really disagreeing with anybody. The Jews
Yeah.
don't believe this whole set of things that Christians don't, and Muslims either.
Why are people so afraid of Farrakhan?
Well, if you had the ability to control the black people on this planet, there isn't anything that you couldn't take, dismantle, destroy, or interrupt if you could mobilize black people. And so part of the ops agenda, a part of their modus operandi, is to find out which one of you niggas is a potential leader. And if you are, then we begin a work of progress on your life, which will make people get off of that. It's a part of it, as much as in any defense, you trying to figure out which way this dude is likely to go so I can rip that ball. It's the same.
Yeah. Farrakhan is a polarizing individual. A lot of people
Yes.
really, I do believe, don't really understand him. I think that there are people who gets the message. This is what frightens them, is because they know, as you alluded to, they know what he's capable of doing. You know, uniting black people and guiding and leading black people in the right way.
There's not been a successful one of those yet. So just like if you're a rapper, any rapper can get hit. Yeah, we don't have we can go through 300 years of history and look for all the black people that fit the description you just said. They never make it.
Yeah, which is why I believe that they should stop trying to make it. I really do believe that, it's each one reach one, teach one, but the leadership is in yourself. Like, all of us are capable, well, not all of us, but many of us are capable of being a leader. Like, instead of sitting around just waiting on one person to be that leader, how about...
Well said. Well
Yeah.
said. But in real time, being the leader of yourself gets you nothing. The people demand to be led, regardless. There's not 13 shepherds and all these sheep. Why? Because it's unnecessary. Just one. Just one that has the connection with the sheep, which allows the sheep who has a brain about that small to be able to just focus on eating grass and not worry about falling off a cliff. We have the desire as humans to be led. We want to be led into battle. We want to be led into the football game. This is all because this is how we are wired. The cheerleaders and the pomp and circumstance, that goes back to the times of first humanity, because we do need that.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about a myriad of leaders. You're not just talking about a single individual.
Right.
And I see a lot of people just be sitting back waiting on a messiah. They're waiting on that one person.
But they are too, though.
Who's that?
The other side is far more diligent about looking for that Messiah than we are, because they know where to look. You probably wonder, why do white people pay so much attention to black people if they don't like them? You would think if you didn't like something, why would you be paying attention to it? I don't pay attention to things I don't like.
What's the answer?
The answer is the liar knows what lie he told. You see what I'm saying? So even if I made it deceitful and I made you think that the answer is over here, but the answer is really over here, I'm still going to be looking over here. Me, the one that tricked, because I know this is the right answer. Black people have lost their identity, but our oppressors have not lost our identity. That's just why they chopped those noses off of the Pharaoh and the Sphinx in Egypt in the first place, is because without this nose, we can tell you this is whoever it is. But with that nigga nose, it can only be niggas. Why would somebody vandalize a whole face and only vandalize one part? Nobody wanted to knock an eye off or take an ear off or no chins missing. No, just the nose. Because it's a brand. It's a brand. All right, go ahead.
Willie D. Live.